Hello and welcome to PolyInnovator. This is the Now page update for March 2024. And you might be able to hear from my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather. Nothing too crazy, but I just feel like my voice is kind of basically shot at this point. I actually have procrastinated all day to make this video, partially because I forgot it was the first, but also because I'm working on a big project. So that's something I'm going to touch on right off the bat. I've been starting to do these as like actual vlogs, so I'm not even editing them at all. These are just like off the cuff kind of thing. If my phone rings, I put on do not disturb this time, but last time it rang, and like I'm just kind of leave any kind of issues in because I want to get this out. What matters is that these now page updates they go out, and it's even more important than quality. Even so, even that's a mistake. Normally, I would cut that out in editing, but considering how many issues DaVinci Resolve has given me, I definitely don't want to deal with that. Now, what this project is something that I've been wanting to make for a very long time. All the content I make, the videos, the podcasts, the blog posts, they all fall under this consistency layer. The reason why I do that consistency layer, ironically, not super consistently, but more than most people, I guess, is so that I could build out until these big projects. So, for example, I had the swimming newsletter consistently over a period of time, so that way when I'm ready for releasing the swimming book, I have that background, I have that basis or foundation to release that book. Now, for most of my phases, so each phase, just for a reminder, each phase is a different focus. So the main umbrella is knowledge management for polymaths. So kind of the big project for that was getting the templates out before on Notion. And now that I've expanded beyond just Notion, my next project will probably be making templates for multiple different tools. So like Acrium and Obsidian and Airtable, that kind of thing. That's off in the future. I don't need to worry about that right now. The swimming, for example, that phase is the book. And while I'm still working on writing the book, I think I'm pretty well off on there. I just need to get down, hustle down, and do it. For gaming, I actually had two ideas in mind for projects. The first one is more of an ongoing project where I would start streaming and work on streaming a whole bunch of different games I have scheduled out in my head or on the list. And then the other project was actually working on the game that I tried developing last year. But that's, again, down the line. There's one project besides the swimming book that I wanted to get out as soon as possible. These were the two projects that I really actually was focused on last year. And this is around the Poly and Content Digest newsletter. So the Poly and Content brand is one of my sub brands. So you have the gaming and then this Poly and Content brand, which I started doing the new YouTube channel, which you can go check out if you go to my channel at the bottom. All my channels that I have are listed out there. And what's interesting is that this poly and content comes from this idea of omni-channel content creation and repurposing and trying to be everywhere, essentially. And that's the idea, creating an ecosystem of content. Now, the newsletter was all this content repurposing. I would do reviews on different tools, eventually made videos on those reviews too. And I started doing interviews as well. All these really great things when it comes to being a creator, right? However, I came across so many different tools over the past few years, many years, honestly. And because of that, I've had a hard time showing people these tools. So people would come to me with a problem like, hey, I need to find this repurposing tool, or hey, I need to organize my second brain, but normal tools haven't been helping me. Well, I usually give them something new. And now, finally, I found a tool. Ironically, it took me a long time to find the right tool to create this aggregator website, this directory, and I'm really excited. Hold on, let me see if I can share it actually. All right, I got it ready up. So this is what it looks like. This is actually the first time I've released anything about it on the channel because I just made it. I've been wanting to build this for a very long time. The Poly Tools idea, honestly, I came up with like a year or two ago, and I actually made a precursor to this using Softer, but it just didn't look good and didn't really function super well either. It was kind of slow and just didn't really show up all the content that I really wanted. So I like how it has all these little icons down here. These are all the different tools. I kind of wish this kind of was a ticker and would like scroll. But then you have all different categories, which you can also see here. Oh, come on. And so there's a ton of categories, as you can see. If I scroll through, I have the content repurposing tools at the top because that's what I started off with. That's the important part of it. That's the reason, motivation behind it, really. The second brain and the content repurposing tools, mainly the repurposing tools, is the motivation why I made this website. And so I've been spending the last like 3 or 4 days straight just working on it. The other night, I literally went home after eating with my roommate and started working at 8:30. Before I knew it, it was midnight. And that's a really good feeling kind of thing. So I'll just click on a random tool, and I'm still working on some of the description parts because I can basically put a blog post right here for each tool as well. So if I were to do a review, I could put the review right there. And I also need to fix the pricing. But again, this is just, it's all just getting started. And over the top, you can also check out the content repurposing channel here, that kind of thing. It's just, oh, it's super cool. So that's what I've been doing. And I put off everything, my job, PolyInnovator, content. And that's why even till the end of the day, hadn't done this yet. In the last few days, I haven't made any blog posts either. I was like, man, I completely forgot to make any blog posts because I've just been so busy. It's been frustrating because I had to sit there and stare at a database for hours on end and adding images, all those icons, all those thumbnails for the website picture, what it looks like. All of those took forever because there's at least 640, 650 items that I have so far. And I haven't added all the social media management tools just yet, but I'm going to get there. That's a lot of tools. So I'm really excited to finally get to share this with the world. I need to work out some of the kinks first and make sure I get everything working and working order. Even just today, I found a couple different things that I completely missed and glossed over. It's like I need to go fix that kind of thing. There was actually like a little animation to all the little icons, and it was slowing down the web page a lot. So I got rid of it, made it work a lot better, things like that before I can actually fully release it. Now, otherwise in life, that's for PolyInnovator. I'm still working on content. I think that the last thing I want to talk about with PolyInnovator is that I wanted to get a whole bunch of content out over the next 2 months. I wanted to sprint as fast as possible. I've been saying this actually for the last few years. Usually around springtime when I finally get some energy back, I'm like, oh, let me do a big old sprint. If I could just sprint for 60 days straight, I'll catch up. I've never done it for 60 days straight. I end up missing a lot of content in that time frame, but that's okay. I've been catching up little by little each year, and I think this year is finally the year I actually be able to finally catch up. Professionally wise, I'm working for Opus and doing some personal training still. In the summertime, I still do swimming lessons. I still do karaoke, all this stuff that I've been normally doing. Opus has been a great role so far. I think it's been really interesting. I've been learning a little bit. It keeps me engaged. Even though I do a lot of grunt work, it's one of those things where it's work that's tangible. I can actually sit there and focus on it. And the thing is, I'm pretty good at it. Like working in databases, working with researching, doing all this kind of stuff, communicating with people. These are all skills that I like doing and that's natural to me. So it's the first job in a long time that I felt like actually since teaching fitness, it's the first job where I felt like, okay, I can do this. Even when I have doubts in myself, I usually figure out what to do next pretty quickly. I can go look it up and look up what new skill I need to find or whatever. And that's pretty rare. But on top of that too, it's paying well. I'm being taken care of. The company looks out for everybody, and it's one of those things where I haven't had a good positive employment experience like this in a very long time. And so I think that that's a very important detail that I wanted to add to this video. Beyond that, I find that because of the income I'm getting from this, I'm going to be able to do a lot of the things I needed to, fixing my car. I need to get a new computer here soon, paying off some debt, and then saving up money to finally move. I think this year might be finally the year that I get to move to Austin. Because even if I'm only there for a year or 20 years, it doesn't matter as long as I get a chance to do it. Because I still really want to move to Singapore. But Austin comes first. I want to do it. I'm so dead on doing it. I think I'm still going to have to renew my lease here, but I think I might be able to leave before the end of the lease and either sublease or just pay for both rents and call it a day. Missouri has essentially the cheapest rent, so it's like, by that point, I could probably afford it. Maybe I shouldn't or want to, but I just need to get down to Austin as soon as possible. So, with that in mind, things going forward, I am closing up the sixth season of the Polycast. I have 4 more episodes left, 3 interviews, I think 1 solo cast, and I'm dying to get these interviews out, but I haven't been able to get myself to do the editing. I think now that I'm finally done with the website's big challenge, because it took me forever to get through that database, I tell you what, because I had to fix every name, I had to go through and categorize everything. I had to go through, add all the icons, add all logos, I guess, add all the thumbnails, and then add all the descriptions too. It's been a lot. And sometimes I had to do it over and over again too. And I had a situation today. I just want to talk on this a little bit because it was ridiculous. I wanted to export from Airtable because I actually moved out of Notion. Notion was terrible. Oh man, the slowness of it. Jeez. It was so laggy. Airtable at least was way better performance, especially since I only have 600 items. It's not that big of a database. And so when it comes to I should be able to, make edits to it without it lagging. And then when I finally got done, I was like, okay, now I can export it. Let's see if I import it into the website builder, does it work? No, all the images don't show up. And I try importing it into Notion, and I was thinking I could export from Notion. Maybe it's just because the way it's reading the URLs for the images. Well, no, Notion didn't work either. And I guess it's because in Airtable, when you export it, the images have a name and then the URL. And for some reason, when they export, it exports the name as well. So I put it in Google Sheets and I tried to modify it, but doing that 600 times 2, so 1,300 times, 650 times, I guess. Doing that 1,300 times for all the different images I had was going to be too much. But I've realized if I do find and replace, I can get rid of all the little extra, either the names or most of the names, and then parentheses, which is blocking the URL from activating as a URL. And I managed to finally do it. I imported it into the website and it worked. So instead of having to move everything over one by one, I was able to do it all at once. I just had to fix the CSV. So that was a whole challenge. Going forward, I'm really excited to take a break from interviews. I actually have a few people in mind for the Poly Content Creator Spotlight, but I think I'm going to take a break even from that as well because I do need to do some reviews for different tools, especially since some tools have come out that have really piqued my interest. I need to start making videos on that channel. I need to start making videos on my main channel. Besides the interviews and these Now page updates, I have not made an actual video on my YouTube channel since last summer, I think. Maybe even before that, to be honest. And now I'm starting to rethink what is my channel about at this point when it comes to my main content. Is it just the interviews? No. Because I also have these Now page vlogs on there. It's my personal brand. I'm not just the interviews. I'm more than that. When I went to the podcasting conference, I had this dilemma because I'm not just a podcaster. And so people saw me and they're like, oh, you're a podcaster. Yes, but also. And I think with the whole change in niche from just polymathy and knowledge management, it's knowledge management for polymaths, it does allow me to kind of focus more on that knowledge management point. Because I really don't need to make too many videos on polymathy. If anything, I already kind of have at this point with the multidisciplinary spectrum. Maybe I could make a few more, like what is a polymath and that kind of thing. But for the most part, I don't need any more videos on polymathy. I have all the interviews, for example, that's talking about polymathy. But what I do need is stuff talking about all these new Second Brain, Life OS, or PIOS tools. For those who are seeing me for the first time, the PIOS is my personal life operating system, if you will. Personal innovation, whatever you want to call it, poly-innovation operating system. And creating more content around that, particularly maybe tutorials and how-to guides would probably be really interesting. And then I also have a lot of content that I want to make when it comes to the 4 pillars philosophy, which is self-development. And that really goes into one of the layers of the PIOS, because each layer is a different part of your life. So I definitely have a lot of plans for that. And I wanted to get started on that pretty soon. But right now, I'm still trying to catch up on some blog posts, and I need to get my habit back in order when it comes to blog posts. So that's when I need to focus on that, get the habit of writing back. And then once I get that done, I can start writing my long form polypro posts, start doing the book more, and then I can focus on doing some more videos. So I think that's going to be pretty good. And I think by taking a break from the interviews, that'll give me a little bit more bandwidth to work with too. All right, that's it. It's already been a long enough video for a Now page update. Thank you for being here.